10 years of silence, 10 years of wind carving lines into her face, and time hollowing her chest where his heartbeat used to echo. 10 years since the ice took him, swallowed him whole without warning, without goodbye. And still, some nights she woke, gasping, hearing him in dreams, a flash of white, a weightless memory claws against steel now in the frozen stillness where nothing should move. Something stirs, dragging itself through fractured ice toward the boat, not wild, not lost, but certain and slow, like a ghost answering a call only it could hear, and she stands frozen, not from cold, but from the unbearable heat of recognition, from the impossible ache that says he never forgot, from the sharp, shattering truth that love buried is not love dead, and what comes out of the ice is not a monster, not a myth, but a memory made flesh returning to finish what time tried to erase. She woke every morning before the others, coffee scalding and silent in her gloved hands, standing at the same corner of the deck, staring into the grey nothing, as if the horizon might speak back. She logged data with precision catalogued wind patterns, ice drift animal tracks, her reports, flawless, sterile, unfeeling. But her pen paused sometimes when she saw small prints in the snow, not fresh, not clear, just barely there, and for a moment her breath would catch before logic intervened. She walked the deck in quiet circles, out of habit, out of hope. She kept a worn scrap of polar fur folded in a waterproof pouch hidden inside her. Parker, she told no one. It was there just as she told no one why she sometimes murmured to the cold air words, not meant for anyone but him at night. When the others slept, she stayed awake, cataloguing stars, tracing constellations he had once followed with wide eyes. Her bunk was lined with books, but one page bore a faint crease where she had once written his name. Even now, when she crouched to examine tracks or adjusted a camera trap, she whistled a low, soft note, thoughtlessly. Instinctively, a call meant for ears that had not answered in 10 years. And when her fingers brushed against the ice, she always half expected warmth, as if memory might take shape and rise to meet her in the stillness. Her body moved like a scientist, but her soul moved like a mother waiting for a child who wandered too far, but never truly left. The day they took him, the sky was a blank sheet of white, and the wind had no mercy. They said it was time, said he was strong enough, said the wild would welcome him. But Evelyn felt her knees weaken as they opened the cage and he stepped out into the snow, older, but not ready. She had whispered his name once, low and trembling, but he didn't turn. Not at first, then just before the white swallowed him, he paused, head tilted, eyes meeting hers across a gulf of ice and finality. And in that glance was everything: confusion, fear, love, and something else like a question she couldn't answer. He vanished, and the silence that followed was not quiet. It was deafening, a roar of absence that filled every hallway of the station, every breath she took, every dream she dared to have. She tried to continue protocols, reports, funding meetings. She smiled in photos, published articles, shook hands at conferences. But inside, she moved like glass, fragile, echoing empty. She stopped calling home, stopped laughing, stopped believing in language for what she had lost, and out in the Arctic where no one watched, she talked to the wind, left pieces of fish near the edge of the camp, walked slower than necessary, hoping for a sound, a shadow, anything. He had grown, she knew that he had changed, forgotten, perhaps adapted, but she hadn't. She had frozen that day, like the sea itself, and for 10 long years. Time passed, but never moved. Let me pause for a moment, and now I want to ask you, where are you listening to this story from? Have you ever had someone, a person or even an animal, remember you after many years apart? Maybe just a look or a small gesture that told you they never forgot. If stories like this touch something deep in you, hit that subscribe button. There's so much more to come, and every chapter is a step closer to the heart. It began not with thunder, but with a flicker, a ripple in the ordinary. She was scrolling through archived footage, half listening to the radio, half lost in thought, when the screen froze on a frame, A lone bear swimming through slush eyes, locked on the drone overhead. Something in the posture, the line of the neck, the tilt of the head struck her like ice water down the spine. She leaned in, breath slowing, fingers trembling. It couldn't be, but it felt like memory reaching across time. She dismissed it at first, told herself it was projection, a trick of longing. Then days later, a report from a nearby vessel came in, a polar bear circling their hull. Not aggressive, not afraid, just searching. And Evelyn felt something shift inside her like tectonic plates, grinding the way grief sometimes cracks open into possibility. She spent the night awake staring at the photo. The eyes pixelated but alive. A question grew louder each hour. What if? What if? He remembers. What if he's looking for something familiar? What if he's looking for her, but the fear came too? What if he's wild now? Dangerous, changed? What if she's just chasing a ghost? The world would laugh, call it delusion. She almost closed the laptop, almost let it go, but something deeper than reason moved her to act. She rerouted their course against recommendation, quiet but firm heart. A storm under calm orders. And when the boat slid through the early morning mist and she saw that shape moving steadily through the ice, something ancient and wordless rose in her chest, and she gripped the rail knuckles white as the bear swam forward through the broken ice eyes fixed on hers, and the silence screamed again. But this time it didn't say loss. It said, come closer. The rope creaked as they pulled him up, soaked, heavy breathing hard. The deck shuddered under his weight, and for a moment, no one moved. Not the crew, not Evelyn, not the bear. Just the sound of water dripping from his fur, pooling at his feet. His chest heaved once, twice, and then he turned slowly, his gaze sweeping the unfamiliar shapes until it landed on her and held there. The wind stopped, or maybe she just stopped hearing it. Her body frozen, eyes wide, her mouth open, but no sound came. The silence between them was thick, alive years of distance, collapsing into this single breathless second. His nose lifted barely, as if catching a scent he hadn't smelled in a lifetime, and her hand rose without thinking, not toward him, but to her own chest, as if steadying something breaking loose from within. Took one step, then another. Each movement deliberate, not instinct, not curiosity, something older, deeper. And she stepped forward too, eyes stinging, throat tight, not daring to blink. And then it happened. He leaned in, pressing the side of his massive head, gently against her ribs, right where he used to curl as a cub, where her heartbeat had once lulled him to sleep. And in that moment the world tilted, cracked open, tears spilled down her cheeks, soundless. Her fingers slid into the thick, wet fur, familiar. Despite the years, he didn't flinch, didn't growl, just stood there breathing her in like a forgotten language. Suddenly remembered, her knees gave out, and she folded into him. Not like a scientist, not like a woman, but like something lost, finding home. Again, the crew stood still, cameras forgotten, eyes wide. But no one spoke, no one dared. This wasn't a discovery, this was a return. The moment of recognition didn't explode. It settled like snow, gentle but irrevocable, and in the space between her sob and his breath, something unbreakable clicked back into place. A bond not rebuilt, but revealed whole, as if it had never left, only waited. The days that followed moved slowly, gently, like light through ice. He didn't stay far from her, shadowed her steps with the quiet presence of something relearning trust, his movements cautious but open. When she sat, he lay nearby when she reached. He leaned in not with fear, but with a memory she wasn't sure he still had. Until one morning, she offered her hand palm up and he pressed his nose into it, eyes soft. No hesitation. She laughed out loud, the sound raw and unfamiliar, like something she hadn't used in years. And he looked up, ears twitching at the sound, and she swore he smiled, or something close to it. They walked, together, along the edge of the ice, his gait easy, her boots crunching beside him. And when she slipped, he turned immediately, steadying her with a nudge, as if instinct told him she was fragile. Now she began talking to him again, not expecting answers, but not needing them. Her voice low, full of stories, data, updates, confessions. He listened in the way animals do, fully and without interruption. One night as the sky turned lavender, he playfully tapped a loose rope on the deck and looked at her waiting. She tapped it back, a game they used to play, simple rhythm, echo and response. Her fingers trembled, but she smiled and he nudged her hand. And in that moment, she knew he remembered not just her, but them, the us, that had existed before the silence, and slowly, the weight inside her chest that had once been sharp began to change, not disappear, but soften, and for the first time in years, she slept deeply, dreamlessly near him. Safe. She stopped counting. The days. Stopped marking the pages of her log with empty weather notes, and began writing something else, something alive. It didn't matter where he had been or what he had seen. It mattered that he came back, not by chance, but by choice. And in his return, she too began to return, piece by quiet piece. Healing, not in grand moments, but in small touches, shared glances, the steady comfort of not being forgotten in a world where everything changes and vanishes. Some bonds do not break. They wait, and when the ice finally gave way to spring, the world felt less cold. Not because of the sun, but because something that was lost had been found not where it had ended, but exactly where it belonged. Some bonds are not built with words. They are woven in silence, in shared breath, in the spaces between heartbeat and memory. They do not vanish with time or distance. They sleep quietly beneath the surface, waiting for the moment when the world is still enough to let them rise again. This was not a reunion. It was a remembering, a quiet homecoming of two beings reshaped by loss, but not broken by it. She no longer searched the horizon with empty hope, and he no longer wandered without anchor. Something in both of them had healed, not loudly, not all at once, but gently, like frost melting from stone. And in that quiet knowing, they moved forward, not as they were, but as they had become. Weathered, changed, still whole, because some connections do not fade. They wait, and when they return, they do not just find us, they restore us.